I started studying food systems because in order to change a system, you first have to understand the ins and outs of it, how it works, how it functions, how it moves, who controls what, and etc. So because I desire to change the system, I educate myself and I share it with you all so that we can, as a collective, change this phenomenon. This video is personal, not only because I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, but because my family, like 90% of my family members, still live there, and it's an island where I go visit often. Last year alone I spent about 30 days there. So because I grew up in Puerto Rico, because I spent my childhood ages in Puerto Rico, and because I visit Puerto Rico very often, I speak, right, everything that I'm going to talk about today, right, I can speak on it empirically. So over the past few weeks, I've been learning how food systems really work, who controls them, who benefit, who absorbs risk, right? And to me, this connects deeply with Puerto Rico, where I'm from. So when we talk about food sovereignty, what is that? What does that even look like? Right? Food sovereignty means that people control their own food. The communities control what they want to grow and when and how, right? Culture and land are protected and respected, right? And it's not being controlled or ruled by corporations. Puerto Rico's food reality is very disturbing to me because Puerto Rico imports 80 to 85% of its food. To me, that alone is mind-blowing because Puerto Rico is an island of abundance. It's an island that is fruitful. Once upon a time, most of those things were grown on the island. But you see how time has changed. You see how colonialism has changed the structure. So Puerto Rico is very dependable on ships, right? And it doesn't help that it's very prone and vulnerable to disasters. If imports stop, food will stop, right? And because there is limited food independence in Puerto Rico, people will begin to panic. Chaos will spread across the entire island because what's going to come to the people's mind is that there's no more food coming in. We're going to starve. We're going to die. If people had agricultural knowledge, right? If people were aware of how much control they could have, then that wouldn't come to their mind because now they're going to be like, okay, well, we don't really need these external sources because we know how to grow our own food. That's powerful. That's something that the island is lacking. On top of that, all the things that get imported, the prices are set and controlled externally. Because Puerto Rico imports most of its food, that means that the survival of the island is controlled by an outside system. That is scary. Because when someone controls the food that you consume, they control your life essentially. So how did the Puerto Rico food system get like this in the first place? Because this wasn't random. This didn't happen overnight. This was something that was built over time. So let me take you back to where this really began. This started with the plantation economy. What is a plantation economy, right? Plantation economy means when big landowners use their land to grow one main crop, right, for profit, for export, but not for feeding local people. In Puerto Rico, this used to be sugar, coffee, and tobacco. So what happened? Hundreds of years ago, huge farms were owned by companies, elites, right? And the local people, they worked the land, but they did not own the land. The food that was being grown was for sale abroad. So from the very beginning, land meant business. It did not mean community. To sum that up, Puerto Rico used to have what's called plantation economy, which the land of that was not used to feed the people, but rather to make money for big landowners. Before large plantations, family grew yuca, corn, beans, fruits, plantains, right, for themselves and for their neighbors. But after plantation expanded, the farmers lost control of their land. They were pushed out, right? And food crops were replaced for cash crops. And as a result, people stopped growing their own food because they had to buy it instead. So right now, the grocery is very expensive. The food insecurity causes stress for people, which causes health issues. So not only the food is making you sick because it's a limited amount of fresh food on the island, but the stress on top of that causes a bigger health issue. But there is still hope. As long as there's people, there's community, and the land remains fruitful, there will always be hope. So if you're a Puerto Rican watching, or you live in Puerto Rico and you're watching, what can you do? You can start to aid local farmers, because local farmers are building right from the ground up. They are fighting imports. They are growing for the community. Build community gardens. With community gardens, you can share food amongst each other. Y'all can educate each other, and in case of a natural disaster, y'all can recover quicker because y'all have each other. Y'all have an actual community, right? If you build that trust against each other, amongst each other, begin to actually care about each other, that is powerful. Educate the youth on agriculture. Teach young people that food is power, especially on our island. Start seed saving. Save the seeds of the native crops of Puerto Rico that grow naturally in Puerto Rico. This will build cultural protection and independence. When you control seeds, then you can control the future. And have mutual aid, right? Because when systems fail, the people become the system. Learning all of this has changed how I view power, food, and responsibility. Because now that I'm educated on all of these things, now that I know all of these things, I feel forced to share this with you. I feel responsible to share this with you guys and educate you guys so that you can begin to make the change. So take it upon yourself to support local farmers, to educate yourself, to stay engaged, right? And become a conscious consumer. So now that I have an understanding on food systems, and I hope by now you do too, I will be moving into water systems next, because water is life. If my videos have helped you see the system in a different light, food, money, power, sovereignty, any of those things, make sure you give this video a like, leave a comment below, and check out my previous videos if you've missed them. There should be a total of 5 by now. As I transition into the water system, make sure you stay up to date, stay engaged with my channel as I educate myself and share it with you all.